In this video, a trail of breadcrumbs points to a new Model 3 entering production very soon. The state of California has wisely given millions of dollars to a very legitimate company who make real trucks to build out a hydrogen fueling network. No doubt this money will be very well spent. A legacy automotive CEO embarrasses himself with an astonishingly bad take on electric vehicles, and the super not corrupt United Auto Workers Union has made a list of insane demands of Ford, General Motors and Stellantis that will rapidly accelerate the bankruptcy of each of the Detroit Three in what will be a lesson known as actions have consequences. So strap yourselves in. And if you guys would like to follow the collapse of legacy automotive manufacturers more closely, I often cover this in greater detail exclusively on Patreon and occasionally on my X/Twitter subscriber only videos. If you'd like to join either platform, click the links in the pinned comment. So I saw this on the internet, and obviously we can trust everything we see on the internet, so this is 100% definitely absolutely correct. According to online rumors, communication from suspected Tesla staff indicates that the current domestically produced Tesla Model 3, FYI, he's referring to domestically as in China, will be discontinued on August 14th, about 10 days from now. It is reported that the new Tesla Model 3 will be officially put into production in the third quarter. Now, obviously, this is just a rumor. I mean, no source here, total hearsay. However, I won't be surprised if this turns out to be true or at least relatively accurate. Why? Tesla told us on the earnings call this quarter, hey guys, there's going to be global production shutdowns for upgrades at all of our facilities, meaning we'll deliver and produce less vehicles in Q3 than we did in Q2. We're just flagging that now because of the shutdowns. It's not a lack of demand, but we're just going to be shutting down factories for upgrades. What are the odds that the purpose of these factory shutdowns is to upgrade production lines for a refreshed Model 3? I'd say the probability is at least 69.420%. There could be some other miraculous explanation for why the global production shutdowns for upgrades. The timing may not necessarily be 100% right on this regarding the discontinuation on the 14th of August, but we've seen a recent change to Model 3 delivery times in certain regions as well. Some of the breadcrumbs are starting to point towards the likelihood of a refreshed Model 3 in Q3. Of course, we'll just have to wait and see. What do you guys think? Is a refreshed Model 3 coming in Q3? And if not, why the global shutdowns for upgrades at Tesla's facilities? Nikola funded to build further H2 stations. In the USA, an additional $16.3 million has been awarded to Nikola in California to support 7 open network hydrogen refueling stations with its Hyla brand. I'm sure Californian taxpayers are very happy to see their tax dollars going to such a very important, useful cause. On a side note, I wonder if there'll be free syringes and tents available at all of these refueling stations. Wait, what? The truck maker has also revealed it has surpassed a whopping 200 sales orders, not sales, sales orders, as in orders, for its fuel cell truck. 200. Wow. So far, Hyla refueling stations have been planned, not built, planned, along Californian freight corridors. The company, curiously, has not yet revealed where the new 7 stations will be. So hang on a minute. Nikola has been awarded $16.3 million to build hydrogen refueling stations wherever the they want. What's going on here? How in the is a company headed for bankruptcy with a history of committing securities fraud getting awarded $16.3 million to build a network of hydrogen refueling stations without even having locations in mind for those stations? What the I'm just kidding. This is a great use of resources. Hyla only states that it aims to create an open network of commercial hydrogen refueling stations initially in California and eventually throughout North America, unless they go bankrupt before then. Nikola's infrastructure brand is also developing a fleet of hydrogen mobile stations to provide hydrogen flex fueling. Nikola has now received a total of $58.2 million in awards, which includes the recently announced $41.9 million for 6 hydrogen refueling stations across Southern California. The additional awards build on the strategic partnership with Volterra to develop up to 50 Hyla stations through North America over the next 5 years. Over to its vehicles, Nikola and its dealer network have now surpassed 200 orders for the Class A Nikola hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles. The zero-emission truck maker says 202 sales orders for its fuel cell trucks represent 18 end customers. The company also manufactures purely battery electric trucks. Now, I have a theory, a bit of a hypothesis here. What are the odds that of these 18 customers, 18 different companies essentially, approximately 18 of them are trying to tick a box. Oh, we care about the environment. How can we make people think we give a fuck? Oh, let's order a couple of these trucks from this company that's going bankrupt. That'll trick everyone. That would never, of course, happen. These companies are very serious, super serious, which is why the average number of hydrogen fuel cell trucks they've purchased from Nikola, at least plan to purchase from Nikola, is approximately 10 per company. Massive needle mover. The company also manufactures purely battery electric trucks. Nikola's president and CEO noted, quote, "These sales orders reflect momentum in the industry, with businesses increasingly prioritizing zero emissions alternatives to fulfill..." Oh, shit. I should have read this article first. They called it to fulfill their ESG goals. ESG, the gigantic scam of scams. Literally. Responding to the incentives available. Exactly. I mean, A, partial money grab, and B, this is greenwashing. Hey, look, ESG, let us tick this box. Let's get a higher ESG rating. Look, we bought some hydrogen trucks from a company that's going bankrupt. Unbelievable. I got to say, though, credit to Nikola's current CEO for the transparency. I'm not sure if that was the intended message, but read between the lines, it's pretty clear. These sales orders reflect companies attempting to signal virtue by ticking ESG boxes and also taking advantage of incentives currently available. So, any Californian taxpayers want to let me know in the comments below, how do you feel about this money being awarded to Nikola, a very legitimate company who definitely won't be bankrupt, to build things that totally make sense? BMW closes in on EV target, but too soon to call end of combustion engines. Oh boy. BMW said it was raising investment in electrification faster than planned. Did anyone predict this about 420 quintillion times in a row? Legacy automotive manufacturers will repeatedly accelerate their EV plans. Oh, we're accelerating our investment in EV, accelerating our plans. We didn't realize, but it's happening faster than we thought. This will be a recurring theme from all legacy auto companies throughout the decade until they file for bankruptcy. They just don't get it. They can't see it. Put a pin in it. But that it was too soon to set an end date for combustion engine car production, with sales still strong in major growth markets like China and the US. That awkward moment when you do not understand that ICE sales are currently in free fall and that free fall will accelerate. I mean, we're now in August 2023 and we've just heard from BMW. They have deluded themselves into thinking there is robust and apparently long-term demand for internal combustion engine vehicles. Maybe they missed Tesla's Investor Day 2023 presentation with the half-price compelling electric vehicle platform. Shout out to the Gigafactory in Mexico, which will be rolling those very vehicles off its production lines 2.5, maybe 3 max years from now. At which point, as I've said before, consumers will literally require brain damage to opt for a significantly more expensive internal combustion engine vehicle that costs more to own and operate, more to refuel versus recharge, is less safe by default, doesn't perform as well, and isn't as technologically advanced. Wind the clock back a century or so, BMW have essentially said, well, despite these automobiles, which people seem to be slightly interested in, it's not yet time to put an end date on our production of the horse buggies because we're still seeing relatively robust sales on these buggies. Horses are going to be pulling people around for decades to come. The car maker is close to hitting its target of 15% battery electric sales this year, beating Mercedes-Benz and Porsche, for whom battery electric cars have so far made up around 11% of sales. CEO Oliver Zips, a long-standing advocate of investing in technologies to cut carbon emissions, said there was, quote, "no indication that the world is renouncing combustion engine vehicles again." This dumb fuck, I don't know a better way to describe Oliver. I'm sorry, not sorry, but this is the fucking CEO of the company, has just claimed out loud, it's a literal quote, "there is no indication that the world is renouncing combustion engine vehicles." Really, Oliver? No indication. What was the world's best-selling vehicle in the first quarter of this year, and it's currently on track to be the best-selling vehicle on the planet for the entire year, despite having a significantly higher price point than the world's best-selling vehicles typically have? What was its propulsion form? Electric. Interesting. And when surveying consumers year over year, what type of vehicle will their next purchase be? Have we seen any trends, a massive increase in the number of consumers who are now considering or will only buy an electric vehicle in the future? A spoiler alert, yes. In addition, are there any indications that in the near term and throughout the rest of this decade, the cost of electric vehicles, which is the major determining factor as to whether or not consumers can afford to and therefore actually do buy them, any indications at all that the cost of these things may continue to decline? Spoiler alert, yeah. By the way, let's ignore Tesla's half-price electric vehicle platform shown earlier this year. I'm sure it's nothing And are electric vehicles, at least Tesla's electric vehicles, already at price parity with internal combustion engine vehicles? Spoiler alert, yes, Model Y is now cheaper to buy in the United States than the average new vehicle. So, Oliver, my friend, you dumb fuck. There is every indication that the world is renouncing combustion engine vehicles. One must only use their brain. Now, it's possible that Oliver actually knows this, but being the CEO of a company doesn't want to say it because shareholders will shit the fucking bed. Or it's possible that Oliver is, in fact, in technical terms, a dumb fuck. I'm not sure which is which, but this is very embarrassing. One more time. In August 2023, the CEO of a major automotive manufacturer is on the record, and again, I directly quote, saying that there is, quote, no indication that the world is renouncing combustion engine vehicles. He refused to set a target end date for their production, as Volkswagen and Mercedes-Benz have done. Quote, it's still too soon, he said on a press call following half-year results. UAW Local 412 Financial Secretary/Treasurer Tim Edmonds, 53 of South Lyon, is the 16th person charged in a years-long investigation of corruption within one of the... I think this might be the wrong page, but let's read it anyway. In a years-long investigation of corruption within one of the nation's largest and most influential unions. A probe that revealed UAW leaders and auto executives broke labour laws, stole union money and received bribes and kickbacks. The investigation has led to prison sentences for 2 former presidents. Think about that. 2 former presidents, court-ordered oversight of the union, and the conviction of Fiat Chrysler automobiles. Anyway, I don't know why I read that. It's obviously got nothing to do with the article I was meant to read you guys. Let's try and find the correct article. Attorney's Office. Former UAW official sentenced to 57 months in prison for embezzling over $2 million in union... I think that's the wrong page as well. I'll find it eventually. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. United Auto Workers Union. Total contributions by party of receipt. It appears that the UAW has been donating extremely heavily to the Democrats for the last 30 years and basically nothing to Republicans except a weird anomalous year in 2020. Oh wait, this is the wrong page as well. I don't know why I showed you guys this either. I think I found it. Hang on, where is it? Ah, there we go. Sorry guys, I'm really unprofessional, aren't I? Just ignore all those previous articles about corruption, embezzlement of funds, and anything that seemed to suggest that this is an extremely corrupt and or incompetent organisation who's been bribing one political party for 30 years straight for favourable treatment. This is the article I definitely meant to show you. UAW President Sean Fain reveals audacious member demands. He says push back on greed. UAW President Sean Fain didn't want to reveal member demands behind closed doors in the current contract talks with the Detroit 3 automakers, a protocol that has been followed for years. Instead, Fain took to Facebook Live Tuesday to spotlight, quote, audacious demands of members in a new 4-year contract being negotiated with a September 14th deadline. Speaking of dead, record profits mean record contracts, Fain said during his broadcast, quote, while big execs have used those extreme profits to pump up their pay, our members have fallen further and further behind. The rich are getting richer while the rest of us are getting left behind. Isn't that nice? He's relating to the people he speaks for. The rest of us. I wonder how much Sean Fain's salary is. Should I Google it? Let's Google it. Well, I accidentally ended up on the wrong website. I don't think this is Sean Fain's income, but I'm going to read this headline anyway. UAW official appointed to $174,000 a year leadership position after donating $25,000 to Sean Fain's campaign. As voting in the second round of the UAW national officers election comes to an end, a scandal has broken out that exposes both the fraudulent character of the election and the ongoing corruption and patronage that remains rampant within the UAW bureaucracy. Anyway, I don't know why I read that article. Still trying to find Sean Fain's salary. I think I found it. Here we go. Well, this was 2021. I guess, who knows, a lot could have happened in the last 2 years. But as of 2021, Sean Fain's total compensation at the UAW, according to the interwebs, which you can always trust, $156,364. This, of course, referring to Sean Fain's salary as an administrative assistant at the UAW, not at his current role as UAW president. Anyone want to guess what a UAW president might earn compared to an administrative assistant who's already on over $150,000? Something to ponder. As we can see, the rich are getting richer while the rest of us, including Sean himself, are getting left behind. Gone are the days that contracts are won by the president behind closed doors, he said. Fain sees merit in a 32-hour work week, he said. The scamdemic has taught people to be lazy motherfuckers and expect shit to be given to them for free. Oh, did I read that right? Yeah, I think I did. Not to work 60 to 80 hours a week. Quote, we shouldn't have to spend 7 days a week, 12 hours a day living in factories. Now, call me crazy, but I'm not sure there's a lot of people currently doing 80-hour weeks, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day in factories. There might be a couple of them. I just want to explain something, okay? When you have somebody, a leader of some organization or maybe even an official in government, saying something absurd like, I see merit in a 32-hour work week, what you are seeing is somebody attempting to garner votes and or support for an absurd cause. The reason that I'm going into this in great detail, ladies and gentlemen, is because the big three in Detroit, legacy automotive manufacturers, Government Motors, Ford, Stellantis, their employees are members of the UAW. The UAW, who obviously don't embezzle funds, there's no bribery or corruption, and all of the fees contributed by their members go to improving the conditions of the members' employment, not to enriching people within the UAW. Or obviously, there's no one's in prison or, all those articles earlier were fake news. The UAW, because the workers at all of these companies are members, can almost force companies like Ford, General Motors, almost force them to do whatever the they want. Now think about this for a moment. If you're a legacy automotive manufacturer desperately attempting to survive the transition to EVs, and you have a bunch of unionized members, go, 32 hours, that'd be nice. Yeah, I support the 30. Yeah, let's do it, 32 hours. You know what's going to happen, right? The UAW is going to accelerate the bankruptcy of these already doomed companies. Sean here is pandering to the employees. Oh yeah, you guys should get behind a 32-hour work week. You're working too hard. You know what's going to happen? In doing so, if successful, these companies go out of business faster. And guess what? You know what's better than a 32-hour work week? A 0-hour work week, because the company you work for has gone bankrupt, right? That's logical. Yeah, let's go for the 0-hour work week, which is what this is really going to result in. Ford, GM, and Jeep maker Stellantis can, quote, easily afford big changes in the upcoming contract that help workers and destroy the companies, Fain said. Over the past decade, the Detroit Three have made $250 billion in North American profits. In just the first half of 2023, the three automakers made a combined bottom line profit of $21 billion, the UAW noted. The list of demands. Oh, here we go. Keep in mind, folks, these legacy automotive companies are already doomed. They're a decade too late starting their transition toward EVs. They're so late to the party, they're already doomed. They've underestimated enormously how much time and money will need to be invested in the transition. They desperately need every spare cent going towards EVs. Every cent is vital to their survival, and they're still not going to make it. This is not the time to be making demands, especially that require outlays. So let's have a look at these demands that definitely won't each accelerate the inevitable bankruptcy of the big three Detroit automakers. Fain listed these, quote, audacious goals. Elimination of wage tiers. What does this suggest? Everyone gets paid the maximum amount that anyone's getting paid. That makes sense. Yep. Let's ignore commercial realities that some people contribute more, they add more value, and therefore they're rewarded more. Let's ignore that. Everyone's the same. Love me some equality. Now, what do you think happens to the high performers if they now know all the schmucks that are at most 20% as productive and now getting paid the same? What do you think happens to the productivity of the people who were previously elite high-tier performers and getting paid accordingly? Substantial wage increases, which the companies can definitely afford. And again, it's a ladder, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to the great Jim Rohn. People get paid in proportion to how much value they bring. People don't like to hear this, especially if they're on a low income. But if you have a low income, the reason you earn a low income is because you bring a low amount of value to the marketplace. But Stephen, you don't understand. I'm getting underpaid. Okay, go find a job somewhere else where they'll pay you what you're worth. I'm sure if you're actually worth what you think, there'll be a company happy to hire you for the money that you know you deserve. Should, however, you discover that no company wants to pay you what you want, spoiler alert, you have overestimated the amount of value you bring to the marketplace. See, it should be up to companies to determine how much they pay employees individually based on how much value the employee brings to the organization. But if your members are unionized, you have union making these kind of absolutely insane demands. And of course, everyone working at a company, especially those who are earning a lower wage versus some of their peers, think, oh, this is great. Yeah, if I want more money, of course I support this. But again, you know what happens when you force wages to be paid that are disproportionate, that are above the value people bring to the marketplace? The jobs go away. Here's a classic example. Force McDonald's to raise the minimum wage in, let's just pick a random state, California. You know what'll happen? McDonald's goes, okay, well, fuck that. We can't afford that. We're just going to replace all these people with computers and robots. Next minute, the person who was supposedly going to get paid more money no longer has a job. And every one of these demands, just think, is this going to cost these companies who desperately need every dollar, every cent to invest in their EV transition? Is it going to cost them more money or less money? Will they save money or will this be a massive expense? Number 3, restoration of cost of living allowance increases. Define benefit pension for all workers. So let's say here, costs more, costs more, costs more, costs more. That's 4 out of 4 so far. Re-establishment of retiree medical benefits. Number 5, costs more. So 5 from 5. The right to strike over plant closures. I really am against people striking. Refusing to do your job, the job you're being paid for, as a brute force tactic. I'll tell you what, if I was running a company and somebody decided to strike, I'd say, great, you can strike permanently, motherfucker, you no longer have a job here. Limits on the use of temporary workers. More paid time off. Increased benefits to current retirees. So in short, the UAW wants to force the Detroit Big 3 automakers to spend a shitload of additional money in wages, salaries, benefits, including those for current and future retirees. I'm sure this will end well, and there's absolutely no chance it's going to further accelerate the inevitable bankruptcy of any of these companies. The list of demands was presented to Stellantis on Tuesday, Fain said. The list will be presented to Government Motors on Wednesday and to Ford on Thursday. Again and again in his broadcast, Fain criticised, quote, corporate greed and big pay for executives while saying working people have never worked harder for less. Again, dear working people, if you genuinely believe that you're not being compensated in line with how much value you bring to the marketplace, go get a job somewhere where they'll pay you what you think you're worth. Obviously, if you're right, you'll find a job where they'll pay you what you're worth. If it turns out, however, you cannot find a job that will pay you what you think you're worth, what you think you're worth is a fantasy. These are, unfortunately, what are known as the facts. Detroit 3 executives who refer to UAW members as, quote, family, have the opportunity to deliver on the contracts, he said. Quote, time to pay up. They've been competitive on our backs and it's time they pay up. We've got to have equality across the Big 3. What does this mean? Does that mean like pay every single employee the exact same salary? I don't understand. These aren't my demands. These are our demands. Isn't he great at relating to these people just like me? If automakers are going to close factories and abandon communities, then the companies can pay UAW members to do community service work and continue supporting cities and towns that have made companies billions of dollars, Fain said. So if these companies are forced to shut down factories because they need to transition to EVs, it's brutal. In addition, they should also spend a shit ton of money after they've shut down a factory because financially it was not viable to keep the factory open. Makes total sense. Yeah. Logic checks out there, Mr. Fain. Quote, I know these demands sound ambitious, but the Big 3 can easily afford them. Oh no, they can't. We have to work longer and harder to maintain the same standard of living. That means missing Little League games and family reunions. Beyond just surviving, cost of living adjustments are essential to simply maintain the same standard of living, he emphasised. There's more to life than just work. It's not enough to just survive. Prosperity cannot be built from the top down, Fain said, referencing union icon Walter Reuther. Quote, inequality in our country has risen for decades. Companies like General Motors are making record profits. GM CEO Mary Barra, who's definitely overpaid, I'm not going to lie, made $29 million. A new worker at the Ultium battery plant earning $16.50 an hour would need to work 16 years to make 1 week of a CEO's salary. We've got a huge fight ahead of us, he said. Companies want to brag about record profits. It's time for record contracts. We're going to deliver for our members come hell or high water. Should we tell them about the whole bankruptcy thing? Is going bankrupt hell or is going bankrupt high water? All the bargaining committees are busting their asses for the membership. Tell you what they're going to be doing is busting the fucking companies. Stellantis response. Stellantis and the UAW have a shared interest in these negotiations, securing the future of our 43,000 employees and their families. Now, again, this is really important and this is the crux of this whole segment. If the company for which you work goes bankrupt, you no longer have a future. This is a suboptimal outcome. And insane financial demands from a union on companies who are already doomed, who need to invest every spare cent in attempting to survive the decade, is the polar opposite of securing the future of said employees and their families. General Motors' response. Meanwhile, David Barnes, GM spokesman, told the Free Press late Tuesday, quote, we will review the demands once we receive them from the UAW. Ford's spokeswoman, Kelly Felker, told the Free Press, quote, Ford is proud to build more vehicles in America and employ more UAW-represented hourly workers in America than any other automaker. We look forward to working with the UAW on creative solutions. I love this whole big wank festival UAW's making unreasonable demands, and the representatives from the automakers are like, oh yeah, we're going to work together and try to come to an agreement, yeah. If they were being honest, the spokesperson would go, we would like to just tell the UAW to please fuck off and die because their demands are going to cause us to go bankrupt and we'd rather still be in business, so fuck off and die. More than 1,000 people watched Fane's presentation, posting heart emojis throughout and typing in questions in the chat session. Fane laced his remarks with spontaneous comments about individual plants and members as they posted messages. The speech lasted about 30 minutes, which is about as long as these companies are likely to last if any of these UAW demands are actually met. So, to recap, all the breadcrumbs seem to suggest that a refreshed Tesla Model 3 is just around the corner. The state of California once again continues to flex its fiscal discipline, giving millions upon millions of dollars to a very legitimate company with real trucks to build out a hydrogen fueling network whose locations have yet to even be decided. And I'm sure that Californian taxpayers will be very happy that this money was well spent building out infrastructure for technology that totally makes sense, that the world definitely needs. And the company receiving these funds definitely doesn't have a chance of going bankrupt before they've actually built any of the said networks that they got the funding for. Meanwhile, BMW CEO has said one of the most embarrassing things I've heard a legacy automotive CEO say in years about electric vehicles. Apparently there's no indication that EVs are inevitable. And the UAW, who absolutely aren't corrupt, doing their absolute utmost to ensure that the Detroit Big Three automakers, Ford, General Motors and Stellantis, survive as long as possible. I'm just kidding, trying to send them bankrupt as soon as possible. I think these automakers, should they concede to a single of the UAW's demands, will truly learn the meaning of the phrase, actions have consequences. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a fuck ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point and something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy. Wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely it's not that AG1, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it. You'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, Nikola salmon sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment, see you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.